Alright gang, here's a quick tutorial on Audacity. I've already downloaded it, as you can see, and I've also installed my Lame plugin so that when I'm all done mixing here I can export it as an MP3. So you want to do that, make sure that you follow the directions in the materials folder on downloading both of those, the program itself and the plugin. So you've got your play buttons up here. Most of this stuff is you're going to just kind of leave as default unless you have a special microphone that you're plugging in, like a USB mic. This is my input volume over here for that microphone, but most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. I suggest if you don't have a microphone to plug into your laptop and you want to record a voice, your cell phone does a much better job. So there are a ton of apps that you can download and install a voice recorder or any kind of audio recorder. Just talk into your microphone if you want to record your dialogue into your phone, and then you can take that file and load it into your computer and just drop it in here, so you don't have to mess with sort of the microphone interface here in the program. So starting off, I got a handful of sounds over here. So I'm going to start with London Night. It's going to be my background ambient noise, and so you see it just drops right in, and I will go ahead and play it. So it's a little loud for what I'm looking at doing. So anytime you're doing dialogue, you want it to be peaking in the -6, -12 range. So this is at the level of dialogue, so that's a little too loud. Try to get it down to 30 or 24, and you're going to say, how do I do that? So you're going to stop this, switch from this capital I, which is your selection tool, over to your envelope tool. And then you can just reduce the sound of the whole clip. So I'm just going to squash it down, switch back to my I, hit play again. So that dropped it down to about -18. So I'm going to do it again. Just try to get it down. Whoops. Now I'm getting where it's going to put these keyframes here where these little dots are. So I'm just trying to get the whole thing squashed down a little bit. There, play. I'm still at -18. Very interesting. Last time. Try it again. So it's a little trial and error. And what do we got now? 24-ish. For this demonstration, I will live with it. So I got some dogs here that are barking. I'm going to drop those in. So you see they get really loud over here. And play. So they already sound a little distant. They're kind of loud though. So again, I'm just going to take my envelope tool, drop them down, and then I'm going to switch to my selection tool here. Maybe I want it to start off with them barking. So what I can do with my selection tool is I can grab any piece of this that I don't like, and then I'm going to hit the delete button, and there it goes. So it just kind of chops it right out. So now we'll play. So that's kind of cool. Time shift, I don't think that is what I'm looking for. Because there is a way to move this stuff down. My brain is not remembering what it is right now. I know there's a way to grab it and push it down. So here's my voices. Drop that in there. Let's play that real quick. Whoops, sorry.
Where is the signal? Ahead and...
Okay, so it's very short. So assuming I have a much longer piece of audio for that.
Where is the signal? Ahead and to the right. Where is the signal? Ahead and to the right.
Okay. Play the whole thing here. Come on. This is
where is the signal? Ahead and to the right.
Okay, so you got the actor turning the pages here, so I can just delete that. Dogs are still a little loud compared to what that says for the dialogue.
Where is the signal?
So it's getting a little lost, and you'll notice as I drop these files in, this one's a mono track. This one's a mono track. The dialogue here is stereo, so you'll have two if it was recorded in stereo. So no big deal there. So let's say the dogs aren't working, I don't want them. So all I gotta do is close that and they're gone. So now I just start off with the ambient sound.
Where is the signal?
And
to the right.
Keep selecting envelope sections here, but
where is the signal? Ahead and to the right.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward there. We've got a spaceship sound. I don't remember what that sounds like. Let's see here. Oops, wrong.
Where is the signal? Ahead and to the right.
Okay, so if I don't want my spaceship sound to be right here, you can use these arrow tools, time shift. Again, make sure you're stopped. Switch to the time shift and drag it down a little bit. So we want this spaceship noise to be further down. Oh.
Where is the signal? Ahead and to the right.
Some ambient noise, and then our spaceship sound. Okay. Another way to boost sound, these are all coming in pretty loud already, but let's say this section here, I wanted it to be louder. I can add an effect to it. I can just amplify it. So I can just boost it, and if I allow clipping, it'll smash the sound up at the top. So I said, okay, it didn't go quite enough to clip, but this section is obviously going to be much louder now. You can just tell by looking at the waveform. Another thing you might want to do is fade in and out. So if I grab a section with my selection tool, so I've got a selection chosen here. As an effect, I can fade out. So whatever the length is of that fade out, that's how long the effect will attach itself or whatever. We do the same at this end with the effect fade in. Shoop. And maybe then I'll move my voices down, and the spaceship will move down. So now let's see, let's turn off that, go to the beginning. As you'll see now, this is a very long, slow fade out, so you might want to select a much smaller section for your initial fade in. Okay, and for the last thing here, let's say I've got some ambient sound, I've got dialogue, I've got a sound effect, and let's add in some music. So lobby time. So it's a bigger file, so it's going to take a second to transcode it into the system. And there it is. So play it. Come on. So say we got this kind of cheery, cheesy music. I want to turn it down a little bit. And switch back to my selector. So obviously I would layer a lot more dialogue onto this to kind of set the mood, maybe a narrator, sound effects. If somebody's getting in and out of a car, you'd have the car engine, the door opening and closing, all kinds of sound effects. I mean, you could spend layers and layers and layers, and this can handle, you spend a lot of time just stacking all these layers on. And so once you get done, whatever you have selected, so I'm going to select here to here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let everything sit because I've trimmed everything to where it should be. Although the music ends here, I should probably fade this out. Cut off this section at the end. Come on. And delete that, and then fade it out right there so it fades out with the music. Effect. Fade out. You could play with all these effects too. There's so many of them that you can do. But for what we're doing, we're just giving a feel for the atmosphere you're trying to create for this one scene in your story. So now I'm done. I'm going to export, and if I have LAME installed, it's going to say right here, export MP3. You can drag any audio files in. So obviously I'm using MP3s here, but you can use WAV files, AIFFs, and whatnot, FLACs. So I'm going to export it. File, export as MP3. Here it goes, and call it something fun. And it's just going to go on my desktop. And I've got the choice here to do stereo, joint stereo, force it to mono. I'm just going to leave it in stereo and just leave it at these defaults. And hit save. And it'll tell me it's going to make it to one stereo file. Okay. Again, this stuff, because I have that music file in there, it has some metadata and it's picking that up. So you can just delete that stuff. Oops. Come on. Delete. 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 If you want to, you can put in your own information, but it's really not. Hey, I could hit clear and just been done quickly. So it's not necessary to do any of that. So hit OK, and there it goes. And now you can either save your Audacity file or just quit it. When you make your project, do not send me an Audacity file. So for example, if I go File, Save Project as, yes, I know. We're going to call it something. I'm just going to throw it in the desktop again and save it. Now I'm going to close it. And then just for illustration purposes, I'll show you what happens. So I'm going to go up here to my sample sounds. I'm going to move them. And so here's my something AUP. So if you mistakenly send me an AUP, if I try to open it and I don't have your original files, it'll open like this. Okay, it tracked my files, so let me try that again. Let me delete my sample sounds. And open it again. Still doing it. Okay, so never mind. It will not, it's still registering. Every time I move it, it's tracking where I move it on my laptop. But if you send me your just the AUP file without the other files that you used, it's not going to work. So I won't be able to listen to it, so you've got to send it to me as an MP3. All right, if you have any questions, give me a buzz.